Hey everybody, Kevin here. I'm excited to announce the launch of the Domination Station support for NBA, multi-entry optimization, and all that good stuff. So I want to make a quick video and show you guys how to use this tool, how I use it to make a bunch of lineups to set up for tonight's slate. So let's start out with the basics. First, we're going to pick a sport. I'm going to be testing out NBA tonight, or showing you guys a little bit about how to run this. So we're going to go to NBA. We're going to do Draftkings as the website, and we're going to select the slate. Here we have only one choice tonight, which is the main slate for the evening. So let's click on that and see what happens. All right, first thing that happens is you can see the game filters pop up based on, ordered by the time of the game. So if we're going to do a later slate, for example, we might shut down these 7 o'clock games and just run like a turbo with these two 8 o'clock games, or however we want to do it. I'm going to leave them all checked for now because we're going to do the main slate here. The next thing we want to do is set a couple of different things. So first is number of uniques. This setting right here basically tells the optimizer how many unique players to put in every lineup. Setting it higher increases diversification. That's something we want. So I normally, at minimum, in a short slate would do 3 uniques per lineup. Let's do 4 uniques this time. One thing to note is the more uniques we have, the slower it will, the tool will actually run, because it does a little more of that calculating that optimizers do. Next thing we're going to set is how many lineups we want to do. Let's, for the purposes of this video, let's not do too many. We're going to do 15 lineups just to get a feeling of this. Projections range, salary range, these generally you don't want to mess with. These are only going to filter out certain players. They're actually not going to remove them from the player pool. So sometimes we don't want to see them all down here. We can mess with these two things, but generally we don't want to. Next step. As you notice, you could see filter by all these different positions. If we want to uncheck all, which is a very popular thing to do, we can use this button right here, and it will uncheck every player. My players are down to 0. My exclusions, all of the players on the slate. We can recheck this and get all of the players on. If I want to go by position group, I can simply click on the position, uncheck all the players if I want, or recheck them all if we want. I'm going to leave all the players checked off for this one, just because I have a little bit of a different way of removing players. I like to actually look at total minutes projections and remove players that are here. This is how I do it. All right, so we want to get a sense of how I do it. I look at the minutes projections first and foremost. If you're only playing 11 minutes, you're off. I pretty much won't play NBA players projected below 25 minutes, and a lot of times I'm really going for 30 minutes or more with these guys, at least 28 on the projection. So I just simply don't play players who aren't going to be projected for a lot of minutes, so I just remove them. Oh wait, here we go. I should really actually be paying attention while I'm speaking. All right, so that's the basics of how to do that. We can filter by projections. We can actually sort these by whatever we want. I like to also sometimes do a sort by value score, just to see who the tool thinks is the best value of the day. And apparently at point guard, today's best value per point is Garrett Temple. Who knew? Kemba Walker's up there, and here we go. We see the best values on a points per dollar basis via the value score. This is a really cool way to try to figure out who to throw in your lineups. That's your point guards value. Let's look at all of them. Etuan Moore, your best value at shooting guard tonight, or Garrett Temple's right up there, Avery Bradley. At small forward, Mike Beasley. Interesting. And Mindaugas Komzikis, or whatever. So here's your best values of the day. All right, so this is how you can sort through all the different players. And we want to uncheck players we don't want to play that day. Let's get Jeremy Grant out of here. Let's get a couple of these guys out of here. Now I'm going to put them back in because I just want to kind of get a sense of this whole thing. Power forward, etc., etc. So this is how you sort through the different positions. Onward to the optimization. All right, next step. Hit the button. Let's optimize those lineups. Let's see what's happening down here. All right, this box on the left, this is your exposures box. It shows you each player, how much exposure you have to each one, and it's a live running tally, so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on here. Looks like we used a lot of Al Horford, 67%. Mendugas, again, it makes sense. These guys are at the top of that value projection range. Kemba Walker, Garrett Temple, all names we just talked about. John Lauer, etc., etc. I think he's out today. So one of the things that's important to do in NBA is make sure you're checking in the DFS Army Slack forums for the latest player updates. I mean, I just jumped in there a couple of minutes ago, and I saw people calling out this one out, that one out. I think Ryan Anderson's not starting. So some of these things, I think DeRozan might not be playing today. So these are some things that we need to, that the optimizer will not pick up on, because the last update on the optimizer is usually going to happen about an hour and a half before lock. And a lot of this info, or some of it, comes out later, and there's just no way to keep dynamically updating it other than to jump into Slack and to know who's not starting, right? So we jump back over here and let's look at the distribution. Now let's say Avery Bradley seems like maybe I don't want 53% exposure. So normally what I'll do is simply modify his projection a little bit. So in NBA, the way we modify the projection, the way I have it set up, is actually we can change the minutes, or we can change the expected points per minute. So let's change his points per minute to 0.97. That takes it down to like a 32-point projection. One thing of note, when you change a projection, let's say Kelly Olynyk, and let's say I want a little more exposure, or Ryan Anderson, let's say I wanted more exposure, and I might raise his minutes projection to 34 minutes, right? It's important when you make an adjustment that you also adjust the real exposure, because whenever you adjust one of these three boxes over here, all three of them will lock in. So if I want, let's say, 20% of Ryan Anderson, I'm going to change the exposure percentage as well to at least allow me up to 20%. Now that's not necessary on any of these other ones if you're running another optimization, unless you're modifying the projection. Once you modify any of these numbers, you have to make sure all three are modified so that they don't lock in. So let's run a new projection now with Ryan Anderson at a higher projection. Let's see if we get a little bit more exposure. I'm just randomly doing this. I don't actually want more Ryan Anderson, but here we go. Ryan Anderson, I just saw him. 20%. So now we're actually getting the full 20% exposure to Ryan Anderson in this thing. So that's how you adjust. That's the best way to really adjust your ownership percentages. Generally, I want you to first change the projection. The last step is limiting exposure with this exposure percentage number. One of the cool things that we updated in this most recent one is adding in the ability to make these adjustments over here, because before we'd have to say, oh, I have 73% Al Horford, and let me adjust his projection. Then I'd have to go up here, start looking for Al Horford. I don't even know how to spell his name, you know. Doesn't pop up. Oh wait, yeah, we got to go into all. That makes more sense. Got to go to Al Horford, find him here, you know, and then mess around, then go back down, you know. So now I can change all of the projections right here in this exposure box, which is super cool. All right, so let's say I'm happy with my exposures. I'm cool with it. I go, hey, I'm rolling Jeremy Grant out tonight. All good. So here's what we're going to do. Select lineups, all. Download CSV with 15 selected lineups. Boom. That's going to download those lineups. Here we go. Save it, etc., etc. Now we're going to go to Draftkings. I'm going to click on lineups. Upload lineups. Upload CSV. And we're going to upload this. Boom. And all of the lineups are successfully uploaded. just like that. Now we can go into the lobby. Now, lock has already happened, so I can't actually enter these, but if it hadn't happened yet, I could go now to the lobby, click on any contest, and basically dump all of those lineups into a contest. This is how you max enter a tournament. You could take the first lineup. We'll jump over one last little note because I have a couple more seconds here. One of the things I like to do, so that's a way of multi-entering, but sometimes we just want to enter one lineup, right? And what I like to do is take my top projected lineup. So go to the sort by my projections, right? And here it pops out the top projected line. You can see they go in order. So by far the number one lineup that this one spit out just now, Harden, Beal, Grant, O'Quinn, Horford, Kemba, Munzingas, and Zeller. So if I was a cash player, and I am, I would grab this lineup or these top 2 or 3 lineups, the highest projected, throw them in a cash game. I might look at some different factors in cash that might change my mind. Certainly, this is just a baseline. We want to look at Boomer's Ballers picks and see, you know, who Keith is looking at to sort of create our actual player list. We want to look at the free square of the day column to work on that as well, and use those players that we consider the free square, maybe even lock one in. And that's how we set up our lineups for NBA. So this is your first initial kind of tutorial on how to use the Domination Station. I hope this helped, and I'm sure I'll be back with more of these as necessary.